All right, we're live. All right, here we come. Hi, everybody. How are you? And welcome to the No BSDUO show.
Hello,
Good
everyone.
evening, everybody. How we doing?
Good evening.
So somebody needs to turn us off because somebody is double playing us.
Maybe it's
I
people
don't
like
know. I'm just excited. Are you guys excited?
I'm excited because we have a special guest tonight.
Yes, we
Too.
do.
Who is
And
this
with
special
that
guest?
being said, who is this special guest? Well, I'm waiting for him to come in, and I believe he just popped in. It's Mr. Jimmy Merchant.
Hey, how you
Hello.
doing? How you doing?
Hello, Mr. Merchant.
Hello. How
Hey,
are
how you
you,
doing,
sir?
Sarah? this is all new to me. I only see I only see tiny boxes here, tiny ones.
It's technology, StreamYard.
Like the song Little Tiny Bubbles, huh?
Yes,
Like
it's a funny
like
thing.
the song Little Tiny Bubbles.
Oh, okay.
I have a funny story for that. So, while I was in labor, to tell that the medicine was going on, all of a sudden I started singing "Tiny Bubbles" because they kept saying it was tiny bubbles in my IV. They're like, it's not working. Her IV is not working. She got all these bubbles in it, and I immediately bust out and singing "Tiny Bubbles." They said, well, she's getting the medicine because she's going crazy. So. Okay, y'all didn't find that funny. Maybe it's a woman's thing. Y'all would have to understand the pain.
It's okay. I understood it. I understood it.
You're cool. You're cool.
Okay, so let me try it again. And see if y'all gonna give it to me the way I'm looking for it. So I was in labor and the pain was hitting me. And it was time for them to give me the medicine through my IV, but my IV had all these bubbles in it. And the nurse was like, oh my God, the bubbles, we can't get the bubbles out. And all of a sudden, I just started singing, tiny bubbles in my life, make me happy. They're like, oh, she got the medicine. So it's working because she's getting the medicine because she's high. Y'all missed it again. Y'all going to start laughing. You know what? I'm done.
We totally agree.
I'm done. So with that being said, again, welcome to the show, Jimmy. And we also have with you Don DaCosta. Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Good evening.
There you go. How you doing, Don?
Absolutely.
Great.
I'm
and we also have great. I'm glad you are. Well, you look fine from what I can see. You look fine from what I can see. So talking about fine. Y'all already know my fine brother, William Frazier, right?
Who?
My fine brother, William Frazier. We already know him.
Okay.
And you know
okay, is that you, William, on top?
Yes, sir. I talked to you. Yes.
Okay, cool.
It's an honor talking to you.
Cool.
It's an honor talking to you.
And then we also, Steve Harvey has nephew Tommy, right? That's who it is, right? Okay, so the BSDUO, we have cousin Teddy Love, Teddy Bear, cousin Ted.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Thank you for joining us, Ted.
You're welcome.
Some of you may know him as DJ Wiz.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
DJ Wiz, that's right.
So, getting to the reason of why we're here.
Out of the Philadelphia area.
Can you tell me why we here? Can you hit that for me for why we here?
I'm gonna tell you why we here.
Across the room with my daughter, she's laughing because why are we here? Don. Okay.
William going to tell us in 1 second why we here.
Here's why we're here. A group came out in 1956 with a giant hit record. And that giant hit record was called, still is called, Why Do Fools Fall? Now, I'm an original member of the group that came out with this song in 1956, January. Come January 2021 will be 65 years later. So the group needs to be straightened out with regard to Frankie and the role. So
So that is that what happened? That right there? Is that what happened?
Well, yeah, well, that's the song. Now, the the idea of the fame of the song. Are you still playing the record?
No, no, go ahead.
Okay. The
Yes, we
idea of
are.
the fame of the song. Let me read an article that came out. It's basically about 20, 30 words. It says this. Let me read an article that came out. It's
Okay, so this is what we're going to need to do because I believe that somebody still have their radio on or TV. Can we got it? Okay, there we go. We should be good now. Go ahead, Jim. You can hear it now.
okay, sweetie. When we came out, this is what happened. It says here, Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, this is very hip, turned the pop music around the pop music world. I'm reading from an article, the Daily News. Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers turned the pop music world around in 1956 with one hit, Why Do Fools Fall in Love? Now here's the point. Up to then, January 1956, pop music was largely aimed at adults. Now this is what has to be expressed. This is where the confusion, as a result, not intentionally, has to be cleared up with regard to Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. It says once again, Why Did Fools Fall in Love? Up to then, pop music was largely aimed at adults. Now, the music business, started aiming at teens, Teens, teenagers. And more teens started singing. In my words, I would put it this way. Before we came out in January of 1956, the recording industry itself were uh, were aimed at adults by adults. You know, the whole
Okay.
crew: Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., and the female singers. But when we hit in January 1956, all of a sudden, the music industry changed from kids and teenagers recording records for kids and teenagers. The recording industry changed. Okay. So I just want to get this point out. And Why Do Fools Fall in Love is the song that did it. We started something called the Kiddie Vocal Group Movement.
Okay.
It's Kiddie Vocal Movements. Groups like the Students, the Schoolboys, the Teen Chords, that's Frankie Lyman's brother, the Young Tones. Notice the names: Students, Schoolboys, Teen Chords, Young Tones, Noble Tones, the Chanters, the Mistakes. These were all recording groups that came out. The Youngsters, the Collegians, the Bob Chords. You remember them, some of you. The Teen Kings, the Heartbreaker, Jimmy Castor and the Juniors. Now, Jimmy Castor went to the same school that we went to. And in fact, we used Jimmy Castor as a temporary replacement when Frankie got sick in 1956. And Jimmy Castor later on became very, very famous with a group called the Jimmy Castor Bunch.
In the 70s.
There were Danny and the Juniors. White boys coming into the picture. They were well known, and I know these. They just lost one of the guys. Just one left. Danny and the Juniors. Tiny Tim the Hits. Now, Tiny
Okay.
Tim is connected to actually Motown, but he came out in 1957 with
Mm-hmm.
a hit song, and he ended up. Tiny Tim ended up married to, I think it was Motown. The head there, the sister, the daughter of one of the sisters there, and he sounded just like Frankie Lyman, and we used him up to 2015. He passed away in 17. We used Tiny Tim and the Hits. They came out after Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. Little
Okay.
Jimmy and the Tops, Ronnie and the Highlights, Little Anthony and the June and the Imperials. How many of y'all remember them? Little Anthony came on a show of an Alan Freed show in 1957. He's from Brooklyn, and as you know, Little Anthony became a huge star, both with his group, the Imperials, as a single artist. It all began with Why the Fools Fall in Love. Pearl McKinnon and the Kodak. See, we used her when Frankie left the group. We'll talk about that. A couple of years later, we used this chick, Pearl McKinnon from the Kodaks. She's still around. And then we used her again in the 70s, and then we used her again in the 80s to create that sound, that Frankie Lyman sound, that Frankie Lyman high tenor, that style. She came very close to it. The Chantels, you know about them.
Yes.
You know, and then of course, as we moved into the 60s, I was at a location and somebody said, Jimmy, come to the television and check this out. I wasn't in the mood to watch TV. And it was an Ed Sullivan show. And I walked in that room and Michael Jackson and the Jacksons were on television. And the instant saw us. That's 1969. From 1956. Here we go, 1969. Michael Jackson and the Jacksons, a little boy. It moved on to Osmonds, the Silvers, New Edition, Boys to Men. Boys to Men contacted me a couple of years ago, and they wanted to record a 12 album. They contacted me. I sang on the track that they wanted to be the key song in that album. Guess what? Why the Fools Fall in Love. You look up the album, Boys to Men, singing doo-wop. I'm on that particular track, singing bass, and with Take Six. Now here we are in 2017. Boys to Men recording Why the Fools Fall in Love with one of the teenagers, Jimmy Merchant. We started the youth movement in music. Boys to Men, Destiny's Child. Who is she? That was a kid group. A kid group of girls. She is the top star to the Beyonce. NSYNC. New Kids on the Block. Backstreet Boys. Prince. When Prince contacted, he sent a message to me. He said he was so happy to have made some kind of contact with me. Justin Bieber. Bruno Mars. He's a star today. If you look Bruno Mars up, you're going to see Bruno Mars singing Why Do Fools Fall in Love with his daddy, a Puerto Rican group. Okay?
Wow.
And of course, Motown, soul music, and rap. All of those things started out with young people. And before Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, young people were not making records. So what's missing here for me, I don't have an attitude about it, but what's missing though is reality. It's missing because through the decades, when you get into the 70s and their parents of people in their 70s
I've got
have
no audio.
either forgotten where the music for kids began or never talked about it. And so they're following, and they're following, soul, Motown, and people like that. Now, Motown, when I came across Otis Williams, the only original member of the Temptations, he took his hat off. When I was approaching him, he's Jimmy Merchant. I took my hat off. Come on, Otis Williams of the Temptations, and we're on the same show together. Like, I took my hat off to him. He said, "What's up, man?" I said, "Well, what's up with you, Mr. Motown?" I said, "Man, how did you guys get started?" He said he went to the Fox Theater in 1956 when Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers were on tour.
I've got no audio.
And we were doing 91 nighters.
Wait a minute, Jim. Jim, hold on 1 second for me.
They ranged between.
Can you hear me?
Pardon?
Jim, 1 second. Somebody said they don't have no audio. Can you hear me? Somebody said they don't have no audio.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead, Jim.
It's kind of breaking up, but I can make you out.
Okay, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, so I'm in contact with Otis Williams, and to stay on the subject, cool cat, and I love the man to pieces. And he was excited to tell me how he got started. He said he went to the Fox Theater with his pal, who became the bass singer of the Temptations. You know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
When Frank Lyman and the Teenagers were appearing at the Fox Theater in Detroit. And when he saw us come on stage, he said, "Jimmy, when I saw you guys, I said, I'm going to do that." There you go. The Temptations being influenced by Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers.
So
I go on and on.
So talking about influence, I know the song "Why Do Fools Fall in Love." That was an influence for a lot of us. Can you hear me? Are you having a hard time hearing me?
I'm sorry, you said that was a lot of. You're breaking up. I know how it is. I see you on screen.
Okay, so as I was saying,
you look great, by the way, sister.
Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy, because nobody else told me. Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's breaking up.
So
I've got no audio.
Who is saying they have no audio?
Yeah, it's breaking up. I'm wondering if it's my daughter's telephone. Can you hear me? Am I clear?
I can hear you, but I don't know who's saying they have no audio. Okay.
It's breaking up, and I'm sorry that that's happening.
Actually, you're not breaking up. You're fine. You're probably looking at it on a watch where there's a slight delay.
Your mouth is moving, but I'm not hearing anything.
That's because I'm not saying anything. Okay, so when you speak about why do fools fall in love, and guys, help me out. I know what the song meant to me because I was dealing with the fact of why do fools fall in love, because I was hurt. I was upset, and I was calling myself the fool because I'm like, we're so gay and we're so happy, but why do fools fall in love? Like, did anybody else have a different rendition of what they thought that song meant? Like, Will, what did you think? Were you thinking the same thing?
Why do fools fall in love? I think,
Sister Shauna, your voice is Sister Shauna, your voice is breaking up, sweetie. It's breaking up. And I'm trying to make out what you're trying to say. The question that you're asking me. You want to try again?
Will was talking. Okay, log out. log out and come back in. Okay, I'm going to bring him back in because it's like there's a little shortage on
It's
his
breaking
end.
up.
Ted, come and watch us on the watch. Don, can you hear us? Don?
Mr. Don.
I don't know if Don can hear us.
Hey, Mr.
Okay, let me see. Jimmy, can you hear us now?
I mean, you know, I'm on the 9th floor in building I live in. Pardon?
Can you hear us now? Are you still delayed?
I don't know what your question is. I'm not sure what your question is. You're breaking up.
Am I still breaking up to you?
It's breaking
My
up.
volume is not the problem. It's saying that he's breaking up. He's saying he can't hear. I'm not sure how he's.
I think it's on your end. I really think it's on your end.
No, everybody is here. We're all clear. William, are you clear? William,
Yes.
are you
Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Can you hear me?
Delayed? Ted, how you sound? Is it delayed?
No, it's clear.
Okay.
Ted, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Will.
Okay.
I think maybe.
Don, are you still with
I
us?
should get my order and
Mr. Don faded out.
Audio.
Okay,
Mr.
I hear
Don,
you.
how are you?
Take your microphone because I hear you talking.
I can hear Don, but he can't hear you.
Right.
Don,
We can hear
Don, can you hear us?
Can't hear us. I'm not sure.
No, he
So
can't
now
hear
we know who said
Hey,
it didn't have no audio. It was Don.
This is breaking. It's breaking up.
It might be because Don has.
You want to take a look at it?
I have no audio.
I hear you now.
Breaking up.
Can you hear us, Don?
Don't face it to me, okay?
No, okay.
See if his earpiece is turned off, or it may be interfering with your setup.
Mr. Don, can you hear us?
He says he has no audio, so I'm waiting for him to come in.
I don't know what's happening, but it's breaking up. Maybe
I wish I could hear what's being said.
Did you move it all?
No.
Shauna, can you hear me?
I hear you perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's Mr. Don who has a problem with the audio.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can help him out, Shauna, just a moment.
Okay.
Let me see what time.
Okay. Is it a possibility that somebody's got two phones going on at the same time?
That's what I'm wondering, if he's having a technical issue that way. Okay, there we go. We're gonna see what happens now because I texted him and told him to come back in. Okay, how do you feel now, Jim? Can you hear us?
I can hear you, but it's still breaking up.
Okay, you're gonna have to check your internet access because that's the only reason why you're breaking up.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Will, as you were saying, answer your question. I'm going to see if I can do a little troubleshooting from our end with him.
I know. You asked me what was my thoughts on, you already gave the definition on why you felt why fools fall in love. I think reason why we are always, a fool for love, because I guess we're always searching to be loved, to be accepted, I mean, everybody wants to be cared for. Everybody wants to be nurtured. I mean, I've listened to the song, and Mr. Merchant is a very beautiful song. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she was a big fan of your group, just to let you know that. And she used to play that song, and I think another one, the ABCs of Love. That was her favorite records. And what I studied, you were 15 years old when you wrote those songs, sir? Mr. Merchant?
I'm gonna call him on the phone and put him on speaker and see if that'll work. Because Don, do you have sound? Do you have sound now, Don?
Yeah, I have audio now.
Okay.
Good. Are we skipping for you?
Yeah, I can hear everybody now.
Great. Okay, so that means Jim gonna have to do the same thing. So yeah, the technology of the signals and the sounds, I guess.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What did Ted put up on the screen? He put something on there.
He put a piece of paper. He said, "Yay!"
Really? You lucky I didn't. I didn't decide. I said, you know what? I was gonna be good tonight because we had a legend on the line. So I was gonna try to be as
Yes.
professional as possible.
I
And I
know.
was
Yes.
not going to put up my emojis, but don't make me put up my emojis.
Ted,
I'm gonna
don't do
just
it.
my face.
Don't do it.
I won't do it. I had
But
another one
Don,
set up.
while we're working to try to get Jim back on the line, how did you come in to play with this?
Who,
This is
me?
a
Don?
question for Ted.
Yes.
Oh, easy. Very simple. To tell you the truth, I actually met Jimmy and the teenagers years ago. I was probably about 12 years old, and Alan Freed gave a concert, which is totally different from concerts they give today. I think we paid about $2, went in at 8 o'clock, and the concert wasn't over until 5 o'clock that evening.
Okay.
Two
That's how many
dollars?
artists there were.
Wow.
Yeah. Listen, when I went to his first concert, I was 12 years old.
Wow.
And
Alan
I thought
Alan
back
Freed
to
is a
it
legend.
and I was amazed. Yeah. And I was amazed that my parents let me go. We left at 12 o'clock in the morning, okay,
Wow.
to go to the Paramount so we would be the first ones out there because there wasn't anything back then as orchestra seats and balcony. You pay $2 wherever you got a seat, you got a seat.
Understood.
And that's how I actually got to meet them. And in
Hi.
essence,
Well, it's obviously a
uh,
connection problem
I was
because
asked to
Don is
manage
now on
his
and
partner Herman
he's
Okay.
now
and his set of teenagers, and that's basically how I got involved with Jimmy. And Jimmy happened to have been a very close friend of my business partner, who was Bill Godwin, who was the lead singer of the Ink Spots,
Oh, I
and
heard of
he
them.
just passed
Ink
a
spots.
couple of days. Yeah, and yeah, he just passed a couple of days ago, and that was one of
Sorry
my
to hear
business
that.
partners. So basically, it was the thing of that's how I became involved with him and knowing about the music. Frankie Lyman actually lived in my neighborhood when he passed away. So I've been around them for quite a while.
Okay.
And it's been a very enjoyable experience. Uh, and we've gotten to work on quite a few things, as we're still working on quite a few things. But basically, I've had the pleasure of working with Jimmy on a multitude of things.
Okay. Okay. So
So when you heard "Why Do Fools Fall in Love," did you feel as though you was a fool that fall in love? Because you know the message is in the music.
Well, the message was always in the music. Back then, when we were teenagers, we actually used that music as what our rap was supposed to be in reference to young ladies at that time. So we actually took the lyrics from a song and actually said that to the girls we went to school with, or the girls that we were basically interested in. And that's how we approached them with the lyrics of a song.
You sure did. You got that right. Didn't I say that, Ted? I
You
said
sure
y'all
did.
can't. If y'all didn't see my live today, I said y'all came to us with them lyrics from the songs, and we was like, "Oh, tell me more about my eyes," and y'all was like, "Uh, they're cross-eyed." Like, what you mean you cross-eyed? Because y'all ain't had no line for nothing on the cross-eyed because ain't nobody make no song about no eyes. So y'all was busted at that point. And we was mad. And then we started singing Why Do Fools Fall in Love? Because I was a fool for falling in love with you. I'm just saying. You know what? Y'all a hard crowd. I'm gonna have to get a woman on this panel because y'all killing me tonight. Y'all don't find me cute. Y'all don't find me funny. Nothing. I mean, loosen up, people. Loosen up. My goodness. So now that we have
Sis,
You
sis,
think you're
hold
cute,
on,
got it
Ted.
going on.
but you're
Hold
related.
on, Ted. Hold on,
oh,
sis.
wait a minute.
We
Wait
are
a
very,
minute.
we are,
He gonna prove me wrong. He gonna prove
we
me
are very,
wrong.
very
And
loose.
you better not put on cameo smoke get sparkle in your eye. You better not
I'm
put
not
on
going to do it.
cameo.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. You say
I'm watching you. I'm
about the
watching
words.
you.
Hold on. You said about the words
it's
that
a lot
Mr.
better.
Merchant wrote with Why Do Fools Fall in Love. But remember, Mr. Merchant, his songwriting style influenced a whole bunch of other, as he mentioned earlier, artists down the
Heartbreakers.
road.
Heartbreakers.
Hold on. You say let's go from 1955 to like the 70s, the early 70s. Who
Okay.
was the man? Who was the man that all you had to do was put a record on and you didn't have to rap? You didn't have to say nothing. Ted, you know who I'm talking about. Who am I talking
Um,
about?
Well, there's an awful lot, but my first one that comes to mind is Marvin Gaye.
I
Barry
couldn't
White.
back up
Oh
to
yeah,
answer a
but
question.
Barry White
Barry
wasn't
White.
deep.
Are you talking about a DJ?
Barry
No,
White.
no, no.
Are you
Yes.
no,
talking about a DJ?
no. What he
Yes.
said was it was one
Uh,
man who didn't need a
it,
rap. He didn't need anything, and all he had to do was just talk, and that was Barry White. And he right. We just fell out when we saw Barry White. We just fell out.
Mr. Merchant, am I telling the truth? Barry White, you didn't have to. You had a Barry
it,
White song. You just put his music on. He did all the talking. He did everything. You ain't
Yeah,
have to do it, but just follow the lead. There you go.
that's
it's
true.
breaking. You're breaking up. Sir. You're breaking up,
But
We're
that
breaking up
tends
again.
to
and I'm so sorry.
encompass quite a few artists. That encompass, like you said, Barry White. That also encompass Marvin Gaye.
Yeah,
Yes.
Marvin
It
Gaye.
also encompass Isaac Hayes.
Teddy
It
Pendergrass.
also encompassed Teddy Pendergrass. So there
I,
were quite a
I
few of
heard my
them.
daughter say
But
that she's trying
earlier,
to get it
when
back
you
on
go
her
back
laptop.
to the mid 50s and 60s, we actually encompass taking the lyrics from a song and actually making that as our rap toward a female to let her know that we were interested in her.
Yeah, or the
Right.
But
Delphonics.
one thing you need to
Okay.
do is you should ask Jimmy where he got the idea to compose those lyrics for the song "Why Do Fools Fall in Love."
And that is a good
Now
question.
my daughter's pushing
Mr. Merchant,
my
sir, can you hear me?
laptop.
Shauna?
Jimmy,
I can hear
Mr.
you.
Jimmy?
Okay, good. All right, we good now. Okay, thanks, Miss Mary. Okay. All right, bye-bye. I had to call. I had to call for assistance. That's where the ladies are at. I'm loving my ladies. Thank you, Miss Mary. Thank you, Adrian. They're gonna make stuff work better so that Jimmy can hear us better. Because Jimmy's getting like a little feedback or delay. I don't know why. His interview is just a little fogged right now. So
Jimmy, are you
I'm probably
high
going
up in a building or something?
maybe so. So he might have to move closer to a window. So he's getting ready to transfer over into a laptop. So, this is what happens with your new age technology interviews. We're all having these little glitches and stuff. So last week I had a lighting problem, and then today we have lighting. So yeah, we'll see what's going on. So like Don, you're close to a window, right?
yeah,
Okay. So maybe
I'm
that's
actually close to the door. Behind me,
okay, good,
behind
good,
me is
good.
the door to outside.
Oh, so how does it feel not to be able to go
So,
outside?
but yeah,
Yeah.
I go listen. Right outside my door is my backyard. So I have
Ooh.
no problem opening my door and sitting outside,
All right now. You know what? You said something to me earlier.
going
I
out.
want you to play. I need you to tell me that again. What did you say that your dad said?
My dad said nobody ever promised you a rose garden, and roses have thorns.
Ooh.
Wow, that's
Is
true.
it could you elaborate that a little bit more for me?
Sure. In other words, we have a tendency to think that things should proceed without any problems. And with there being no way of ruining what we perceive. And thorns, roses are considered to be a very beautiful and fragrant flower. Yet, even though it's very beautiful and has a wonderful fragrance to it, it has thorns to it that can cause you pain.
Mm.
Ooh,
And that's
you know
kind of like
what?
love. Love is a
If
very
I ain't know no
beautiful
better,
thing.
I
It's wonderful,
if I ain't know no better, I would almost
but it
sworn
can
that
cause
you
you
did
pain.
describe a woman.
And make you bleed.
Do you think I might?
I think you did.
And make you bleed. There you go.
And make
There
you
you
bleed.
go. Cause you severe pain.
You're
There
gonna
you
bleed
go.
one way or the other.
It's a
You might
wonderful
bleed.
thing, but they can cause you severe pain.
You might bleed to the wallet too. So, hey,
Oh my God.
So,
hey, I have a question, Shauna. I have a question for you
Yes.
guys.
Go ahead.
What inspired the movie? Why do fools fall in love? I mean, and were you guys characters projected in that movie?
Portrait.
Portrayed in that movie?
Okay, now things are a lot more clearer. What is your question about the movie again?
Okay.
He wanted to know when they had the movie with Lorenz Tate, was your characters was it accurate? Was your characters accurately portrayed in the movie? The events that happened in the movie.
Well, there were two or three movies. Which one you talking about?
The one with Lorenz Tate and it was Lorenz Tate and Vivica Fox.
Oh,
why
okay,
do fools
okay,
fall in
Why
right,
do
love?
fools fall in love?
right. The one that had to do with the three wives of Frankie Lyman.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
The first 12 to 15 minutes, right on the money. Right
Okay.
on the money. The rest of it um, had to do with Frankie. And when they first contacted me to do the movie, probably about 15 years before, um, the lady that produced that movie, when you look it up, you'll see it's a female. She's a former actress, TV actress. And she was interested in telling the truth, the whole story, and nothing but the truth. But the how can I say this without cursing?
This is the BS show. Curse.
Yes.
Well, let me just say this: the idea of people in this crazy world that we live in, um, they're all about themselves. This lady was serious. She's a true individual when it comes to the history itself of Frankie Lyman and the teenagers. She contacted me in Herman Santiago, and she came through Richard Barrett. I'm going to mention the name. I don't have nothing to hide. Now, Richard Barrett is the guy that's discovered Frankie Lyman and the teenagers back in 1955. Richard Barrett. And all these years later, about 15 years ago, he contacted us and that came through him. When I had a meeting with her and him downtown in one of the hotels, um, it was that stupid stealing, um, people looking out for themselves instead of the history itself.
Right.
She
Right.
was dedicated to the history of this phenomenal scenario, Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. So another thing that was going on at that time, I think one of the wars had broke out, and they decided to cut out trying to produce this movie about Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. So when she finally got it done, um, it was about Frankie and three women, so-called wives.
Mm-hmm.
That's the answer to your question. So there was another movie scenario talking about how crazy this world that we live in, and it is crazy, because when Adam and Eve were told not to do something, there's an enemy behind the scenes that talked them into doing what they were not supposed to do, and from that moment on, the world's been crazy.
Uh-huh.
That's simple. It's just that simple.
That's true.
And we're heading toward the end times because this thing is heading toward being over. Jesus Christ goes to the cross to make up for that problem that happened in the Garden of Eden. And he said that the world was condemned based on the satanic movement that started then. So when I look at my life, my wonderful life as a history, as historian musically, all the ins and outs that occurred has to do with the evil of the men in this world, people in this world. So my job now is to take what occurred to me, how it all occurred, introduce the truth, and then Jesus Christ. That's the only way to look at it.
So can
Now,
I ask you a question if I may?
sure.
You spoke about, in which we were trying to ask you at the beginning before we experienced a little technical difficulties, what inspired the song? And then that way you can take us right into the true meaning of what the song really meant. Can you tell me how you was inspired?
That's a super question. You got four boys. Remember now, in the very beginning, I'm from the Bronx, one of the five boroughs of New York City. And while I'm about 10, 11 years old, right here, I'm back in the Bronx. I got interested in art. I'm an artist as well, but mainly music. I started hearing guys in the neighborhood, vocal groups, about 10 years old. And one of the groups in the neighborhood that I was raised in is a group called The Chords. There were two or three of them. Life Could Be a Dream. And when my father was playing big band music on his Philco, 78 records, floor model machine, I'm listening to these big bands, the harmony, the horns, and Dizzy Gillespie, Duke Ellington. He had a different scenario in his big band.
Woo! Yeah, something about them bands and them horns. But go ahead, as you were saying.
So my ear got attracted to the harmony. I had no ideas until years later that I was gifted musically to hear harmony. Okay. So I'm moving into 10, 11, and I'm starting a group. I'm going to sing. I'm about 11, 12 years old. And my daddy, because I'm born and raised in the Bronx, He came from the Army in 46 after the war. And he wanted me to be a baseball player. And guess what? He wanted me to be a Yankee baseball player. This is very, very true. So I said, Dad, I want to sing. He said, okay, you could do whatever you want, but I want you to be a baseball player. And so he
Okay.
started taking me to the Yankee Stadium. I'm shaking hands with Joe DiMaggio, Phil Rizzuto, and Mickey Mantle. They're coming to the bleachers and signing autographs with the kids. And I'm thinking about singing a group. I want to sing, bro. I want to sing. It was in my heart. It was in me. And I had no idea that what this thing in me is a dream that was instilled in me to become that which I was gifted with. So moving on really quickly, I decided to get on the Yankee baseball team. And here's the point. Dreams come from God. All things begin in seed form and grow into an experience. So the seed form was me in music. My father wanted me to be on a baseball team. I joined a local baseball team because he wanted me to be a baseball player. And I'm in the street with one of the guys that I'm singing with. We're building scooters. And the coach of the baseball team walks up. And my buddy and I, we say, yeah, we're building scooters. I'm 12 years old. And we're looking at him, the coach of the baseball team that I'm on, that we're both on. And he tells us to stand up. So we said, okay, what are you doing around here, Coach? We don't have no games until the weekend. He said, I want you to do something. I said, what do you want me to do? He says, do this. Ooh. I looked at my buddy. He says, do this. Ooh. I said, okay. Ooh. Then he said, you stand up, Lawrence. He told my buddy to stand up. And he said, you do this, Lawrence. Ooh. And Lawrence said, hey, no big deal. Ooh. So he said, now do it together. Ooh, ooh. We did it together, right? He said, now wait. Do it again. Ooh, ooh, ooh. He put his part in. So there it was, God in action, while my dad wanted me to be a baseball player, and I jump on a baseball team, a local team. The coach turns out to be a vocal group singer. The coach of the baseball team turns out to be a vocal group singer. And when he found out that me and my buddy Lawrence could sing, he started showing us what he knew. And so there was God making the move. Now, here's the next move that God makes, because he's the beginning. He's the one that instills in us the dream to do a scenario, whether it's a doctor, a baseball player, you want to be you want to be a president. Okay, let's not go there. But so my mom, my dear darling mom, she's upset with dad and she wants to leave him, and so she's moving. She's going to relocate from the Bronx and to Upper Manhattan. And I told Mom, please don't move. I know you and Dad aren't happening. And she said, it's not going to work, son. We're getting out of here. And I had two sisters. So we go to Manhattan. I get transferred from the junior high school that I was going to, the 7th grade. I was in the 8th grade. Now it was September. I'm about to go into the 9th grade, but I'm in a new neighborhood. And my mom transferred me to the new school now in Manhattan. And the first day in my 9th grade class, one of the members that's going to be Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, which I knew nothing about, is in that class. The other three members that are going to be Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers are in that school. So the coach was the coach of the baseball team turned out to be a singer that kept me warmed up singing and putting a group together. My mom relocates. I get mad because I had a group here in the Bronx. I got upset, but I know my mom had to leave. But now in the new school that I'm relocated to, the other four boys that's going to be Frank in the group, Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, Sherman Gons, the bass, He was in my class. Joe Negroni, Herman Santiago, and Frankie Lyman. So 4 of us are 9th graders, and Frankie is a 7th grader. It is God in action. God in action. So Sherman is in my class. He's the tall bass singer. If you look on the picture, you see him. He's the tall bass singer. He's a basketball fanatic. He wanted to be a globetrotter. I wanted to be a singer. He wanted to be a globetrotter. We became best friends. I watched him play basketball, but I taught him how to sing. He had the bass. Because when he walked into the classroom that first day in the 9th grade in 1954, September, he walked in late. He said, "Hey, teacher." I looked up, I'm on the other side of the room.
Wow.
She said, "Mr. Barnes, don't call me teacher. My name is Mr. Smoller. You're late all the time. You're going to sit over on the last row next to the new boy in this school. His name is James Merchant." And he said, "Okay, I'll sit wherever you want me to sit. I'll sit wherever you want me to sit." He sits right next to me on my left-hand side. The window's on that side of the room. And before the teacher gets ready to go back to the work and start working the stuff in the class, she said, "Oh, by the way, James, Sherman," and he's 6'4", he's 14 years old. Sherman, you could see he's late all the time. He's a late guy, even though he's new. I'm a 9th grade, but everybody knows him from the 7th and 8th grade as the guy that comes late to school every day. And by the way, you could see his window across the street from where he's sitting in the apartment building across the street. And you can look into his living room and his kitchen. But he's late every day. So I mean, we became best friends. But the thing that I could not get over that moment in time, the first day of the 9th grade, was that cat's voice. And as soon as the teacher got quiet, I leaned over to the side. I said, "Yo, man." He goes, "Yeah, what you want?" I said, "Can you sing bass?" And he turns to me, he says, "Can you play basketball?" He's 6'4", right? He wanted to be a globetrotter, and I want to be a singer. And that was the beginning of the group. I was the missing link.
So how did you come up with the song, "Why Do Fools Fall in Love"?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Excuse me for laughing. So we Sherman and I get involved in a group. Harmony was exploding at that time. 1954, September. A song called Earth Angel came out. Oh, wow, oh, Earth Angel, Earth Angel. And
that's by the Penguins, right? That's by the Penguins, right?
I mean, about 10 or 15 boys would run across the street and we would sing it, and we were surrounded by girls. I know you hear that, Miss Shauna.
When they screaming, "Oh!"
Yeah, right. Oh my
like
God. I mean, we were entrenched in singing harmony to Earth Angel. I mean, about a dozen boys. And
so wait a minute. Earth Angel. Y'all predestined that song. That was about me, right? Earth Angel.
Yeah,
okay,
but
go ahead with your story.
Your type, and dozens of girls were Earth Angels. And we sang Earth Angel, and the 10 guys narrowed down to about 5 guys over a period of weeks. Me and Sherman and 3 other guys. And the teacher came out one day. We were supposed to go back in school after lunch And after singing in the yard across the street, the park, and she said, boys, it's everybody's gone. You're supposed to be back in school. And we looked at each other, the 5 boys, we ran in school. We ran. And when we run in school, the next time we came together, we came up with a name for that particular group, the Earth Angels. Now, even though those cats didn't make it, me and Sherman got involved with 2 Puerto Rican guys. And here comes the song, Why the Fools Fall in Love. We got involved with 2 Puerto Rican guys. The way that happened, if there's any Puerto Ricans out there, I love you guys, okay? But I was trying to figure out how can a Puerto Rican sing doo-wop? Come on now. I wasn't prejudiced. I was just saying, I was into the harp tones. I was into, the Orioles. I was listening, I was into those. I was into those cats that were black. They were running around neighborhoods in the early 50s, singing on street corners, singing in the weekends. No music and just harmony. And Sherman told me that these 2 Puerto Rican guys were starting a group and they wanted to sing too. So I said, okay, man, okay, let's see what they look like. Let's see what they can do. I knew them because they were 9th graders. So the 4 of us get together, and I ended up teaching them how to use their voices regarding harmony. They had voices. They had nice tone in their voices, but they didn't know what harmony was. I didn't know what harmony was in terms of the idea of formulating where 4 guys could be in tune with each other, but I knew how to organize and arrange music. I knew how to. I won't say music because that's because harmony is music, but I knew how to arrange harmony. So I taught these 2 Puerto Ricans, myself, Sherman, the bass, and we became a vocal group that everybody was following. And one day, in that same building that Sherman lived in, across the street from the school, we're singing in the hallway of that apartment building because it was raining, and we loved the hallway sound. And this guy on the first floor comes out and he says, "Look, I've been watching you guys, and Sherman, you live here in the building. You guys are singing the same songs over and over and over again. The hits at that time, Shaboom, Earth Angel, Life Could Be a Dream, whatever was out at that moment in time, 1955 spring." And he says, "I'm going to give you guys some letters that somebody gave me." We looked at him, we laughed because then he's a big brother type cat. He cared and he talked about, you guys are singing everything that you hear on the radio, but you need your own music. So I'm going to hand you some letters, take the letters and make up something. So there were about 8 or 9 letters. I took them home and I picked out one of them that was called Why the Birds Sing So Gay. She wrote these letters to the lady that wrote these letters. I don't know if they were letters written to him, but she happened to live in the same building and she was married. So
wait a minute. Wait. Pause.
Yeah.
1 second. Did I hear that a lady has something to do with this?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just
Yes,
want to
ma'am.
know another again. I got to shout out to your back group. Group. Miss Mary and Adrian, them ladies back there. Thank you, ladies. Okay, as you were saying, go ahead. I just had to say it because I'm kind of boxed out here.
Hey, Don.
You feel me, Don? Don, you feel me? Don, you understand my pain?
Say that again.
Yeah, I understand your pain. There's only one of you, and there happens to be 4 of us. So yes, I do.
Thank you so much, Don. I knew I had a real good Facebook buddy in you. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So go ahead, Jim. I just had to hear the fact that, a lady was involved, and one of our lovely guests that are listening in. I want to say to everybody, hello, hello. I know we're not getting all your comments, but hello to you all. And yes, this is Jimmy Merchant from one of the original singers from the Frankie Lima and the Teenagers, where they came out with Why Do Fools Fall in Love. So as we go on into the next segment, and yes, I do agree with you because Dupree. Dupree said, I am the earth angel y'all was talking about. So thank you, honey. Thank you. Thank you. So back to you, Jimmy. Back to you. Look, we got to liven this thing up. You told me I couldn't eat
You
tonight.
mentioned the
You
fact
didn't
that
tell
it
me I
was
couldn't drink. So I'm gonna
before
have to
you
give
were
me a
born.
drink on that. So go ahead. I'm getting me a drink. Get
See,
me a drink.
guys, hey guys, you can see the deal. You can see the how can I put this? The oddness between the differences of us and her or them.
And my brother William, are you going to let that be told as true? Because Ted just laughing. I know where your heart is, Ted. But my brother William, can you please help the sister out? Like, seriously. Like, really? Come on. Come on. You
So
agree or you with me? You with me? Because you still didn't tell me I was pretty today. You still
well,
Let
didn't
me
tell
just
me I
show
was
you
pretty
one
today.
thing.
I said you were
Hey,
pretty
Ted,
earlier today.
Yes, you did, Jim. Thank you.
Ted,
Yeah,
Ted,
yeah,
you, me, Shauna, bloodline. We always tight. Remember that.
that's right. Frasier's.
We always
Yes, the
tight.
Fraser line, we're always tight. That is true.
And we
But every now
always
and then,
talk. We always talk.
the one little angel right here, the one
What
little
angel?
angel right here, while all y'all up in the house, need a little clear my throat. I'm saying? Here's
Sis,
to you.
sis, sis, sis. Me and you talk. Oh, don't take no drink, okay? You don't want me to get
I can't
started.
eat. I can't eat, so I might as well drink. I
That don't look
believe we
like.
lost God. We
Hey, that don't
lost
look
Sis,
God.
like.
God is
That don't
drink
look
in a
like
sis,
minute.
water. That don't look like water in
sis,
that glass.
sis. You are very you, Mr. Merchant.
yes.
My sister is very beautiful.
Thank
We
you,
are.
thank you. Oh,
Are you
thank you so
happy?
much. You know how long it
But
took for me to look this pretty? I had to go through a couple of shirts to find this one. I'm
you
just
see why,
saying.
Mr. Merchant? That's why I ain't say nothing, because she was gonna take it and run like a plane, take off.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's why I ain't
Shut,
say nothing. Because
Shauna,
Yeah.
hold your. Hey,
it's,
Shauna,
it's not
hold your
what
glass
Ted
up,
said.
Shauna.
It's not what you said. She was waiting for me so she can.
Let me pour some water in that glass.
That's why I said, Mr. Merchant, please keep on talking,
Yeah.
please, because she just wanted me to do this. She wanted me to do that. That's what
Yeah.
she wanted. She was waiting for that.
I'm the baby. You gotta love me. I'm the baby. You gotta love me. You
Mr.
gotta give me
Merchant, we
something
talk. Me and my sis talk every day. Every
per
day, me and
day.
sis talk. So
Did
we
you
Per.
tight.
did you hear
So
what
I
she
don't.
said? Did you hear what she said? You got to love me. Now yeah, she's getting biblical on you, right? God so
Yeah, I
loved the
know.
world. You
I
know,
know. I know.
you
I
know,
know.
God loved the world. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. You have no choice, brother.
You're right. You know what,
Even
Mister?
if he didn't
You,
want to. It's like
you know
Ted
what?
said, we family. He ain't got no other choice. You gotta love me.
That's right. I got another question for Don and Jimmy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You still there, Don?
Yes,
I
Don
see
came
Mr.
back.
Don.
Okay. My question is,
Yeah, I'm here.
I grew up
I'm listening.
I grew up just a few years after, you guys' era. And what I remember,
How old are you, brother?
57.
Okay.
But as a child, I remember the Delphonics and the Deltones and the Ink Spots and Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. I remember a lot of groups. And, as I was growing up, and then, as I was growing up, I've noticed that now you think they've lost the art of, because you guys were so young. And it's the most fascinating thing to me is that like Michael Jackson, and his brothers and sisters so young. Do you think it's a lost art? Why do you think? I know it's a lost art because it's back then it was just one group after the next, and me and cousin Shauna was talking about that today. How, oh man, it was just everything that was coming out was just either hits. I mean, you couldn't keep track of the groups, and now I'm looking at. I know you know times have changed, but do you think it's a lost art of singing?
Well, that's a great question, and no, it's not. It's not. Kids want to sing. They kids want to do the things that they see in the outside world. They want to be actors. They want to be singers. They want to play instruments. The singing thing has not left. What I think has really probably left is the coming together to sing harmony
Right,
without instruments,
right.
a cappella.
Acapella.
The a cappella thing has played out, and there are a few organizations that right here in New York that they basically concentrate on the a cappella scenario. But I hope that answers your question. I think that basically what has come in is when the groups that came in with the strings and all the big horns and stuff like that, because when we walked into the studio to record that night, the first Saturday, it was a Friday, um, the first week in December of 1955. Remember, the song came out in January. It came out the end of the year, but it hit in January 1956, and we recorded "Fools" a month before the first weekend
Wow.
in December.
Hmm.
So when we walked in there into the recording studio, we had no charts. We didn't have no, we knew nothing about musicians were going to be certain individuals. Jimmy Wright, the famous horn player on all the G record hits,
Yeah.
the Cleftones and the groups that follow. Um, he said, "Hey boys, how's the song go?"
Wow.
So Sherman said, "Okay, it goes like this." And then I said, and then we're gonna come in with ooh ah ooh ah. He said, okay. Let me hear y'all singing on the mic, and I'll follow you. And that's how it all got together.
Wow.
So there were no pre-musical arrangements at that time.
Right.
It was just basically come together and sing some harmony and copy what you heard on the radio, whether it had music in it or not. There came a time when I was following the Four Freshmen and the High-Lows, and the Four Freshmen and High-Lows came out like in the early '50s, and I was going to the theater listening to jazz harmony. I didn't really realize, my abilities. I can arrange stuff like Take Six today.
Right.
I could arrange, high-lows and Four Freshmen, but I didn't know that that's the skill that I had. So back to your question, I just think that it's that kids want to sing, and they'll get together and they'll sing duets with each other. They'll copy people. They'll copy records. It just hasn't changed. And all of a sudden they decide they want to talk while they're singing. So rap came into the picture. And then,
they don't spend the time developing.
Pardon?
Do you
They
think
don't
because
spend
of
the
the,
time developing music.
sorry.
That's where there's two problems. back then, a lot of time was spent in hallways, subway stations,
Yeah.
developing the harmony used for backgrounds in that music. And you can go to groups uh, early. I mean, even if you go back to the harmony created by the Ink Spots, and they used to hear that song, If I Didn't Care. There was harmony throughout. That was time that was spent developing that. Later on, record companies spent time that they don't do anymore. Record companies had, each record company had its own department called artist development.
Yeah.
And somebody spent time with those groups, those individuals, developing their skill set in those areas. That's not done anymore. Now, what it's done is record companies don't have that department, don't have anybody with those skills. So now they look at what is put up on YouTube and basically check out the type of following that those artists have. So therefore, they no longer have. And here's the other thing: the people that write the music now, the substance in what they write is not the kind of substance you had back then.
Right.
So it's a completely different era. So what you have as far as the concentration of that music and the substance of it is no longer there.
Right.
Yeah. Talking about being there again. My apologies to some of our watchers. We're not getting a chance to get everybody's comments from all who is doing their own individual watches. So we want to thank everybody who's watching. And again, this is Jimmy Merchant and Don Dakota, and they're opening up their doors to let us in to have a conversation with us this evening. And again, we want to thank you guys. Will, your question.
I just before I start, I just want to say, Mr. Merchant and Mr. Don, Mr. Eric Shields, Isaac Carlton, Lady Belle Favoom, and Miss Gina Volk all said good evening to you. They're big fans of yours,
Praise the
and
Lord. Thank you.
they're watching you on my watch party. They're watching you, so
Thank
they
you
want to
so
say.
much, folks. Thank you.
So they said thank you. They want to say thank you. I
Sure.
do. I do have one question. My cousin Ted had mentioned when he was talking about the movie, I think the person who wrote it was Tina Andrews. That's her name.
Uh, that wrote the movie?
Yeah, Why Do Fools Fall in Love? Tina
Yeah,
Andrews.
right. She's the one. She's the actress. Right. Mm-hmm.
I think the question I'm going to ask is this. In the movie, it did kind of stray and went and talked about Frankie Lyman.
Yeah.
But then it talked about, of course, the ill wills of the recording industry. And one character that stands out is Morris Levy. Some say that I know you heard of Death Row Records, Suge Knight, and all that stuff like that. In your opinion, today and back then, do you think the record companies, with their characters that they have, do you think the record business is more uneven today, or has it always been? They had characters like Mr. Levy, Mr. Knight, and if you watch the movie The Five Heartbeats, they had a character called Big Red. Of course, the famous "My office hours are 9 to 5." Did you and your group, did y'all ever come across? Was it like it back then? I mean, just that environment, how they did things, how they operated.
Well,
And is it the norm? And is it the norm?
yeah. Well, I'm glad that in this uh, scenario that I'm a part of with you, gentlemen, and Sister Shauna, that the questions that are being asked help to put the pieces together of my history. Um, Let me link Morris Levy because he was behind the scenes with the teenagers.
Correct.
Morris Levy was a regular cat. He got involved with music and opened up a club in New York City, a jazz club.
Birdland. Is it Birdland?
Birdland.
Birdland. Yep.
Exactly. Birdland. Um, he hooked up with Alan Freed when Alan Freed was in Detroit,
Right.
a DJ, and moved into New York City. You see that story in the Alan Freed book. And
Hitman is a book called Hitman. I think they detail that very well.
Right. I have that book too.
Very good.
Yeah, very good. I mean, the world's full of gangsters and big time then because the music industry, when it first got rolling, our parents had no idea what royalties were. They didn't know that every time a record gets played on the radio, somebody's going to be paid.
Correct.
And the best way for you to be paid, if you're my son, is that I have a contract with your record company. I have a documented. I have the copies of it. It was handled by a music attorney, and I'm getting recorded in the mail 4 times a year. What that record that my son, that I have a contract with, the record he wrote, his royalties. The royalty checks come in 4 times a year. So now, that said, George Goldner was also a Jewish hustler.
Oh,
gambler.
He owned the G Records, right? Downtown Broadway?
Yeah, first Tico Records.
Oh, Tico.
Yeah.
Okay, I heard of that. I think Tito Puentes.
Tito Puentes
on that label.
Yeah, he loved Spanish music. And then when somebody, when Richard Barrett told him about us, because Barrett worked for him, the Valentines had recorded Lily Mae Bell, I think. And when Richard Barrett, he lived in the neighborhood of the school that we attended. He moved into that neighborhood. So remember. I wanted to sing in the Bronx. My mom relocates. I was the missing link with the 4. Then Frankie comes in some months later. Then Barrett moves into the neighborhood after the guy in the hallway gave us the song, which I turned into a slow song called Why the Birds Sing So Gay. It's going to be Why the Poohs Fall in Love. Barrett now, when he sees us, the 4 guys, and then he sees us intermingling with Frankie, because Frankie was following us all around. He started out around 12 years old, and we were 15. And Barrett says, I'm going to take you guys downtown and get you guys a recording deal, but you got to sharpen up. So Barrett helps us clean up our song, and I had already written Please Be Mine and I Want You to Be My Girl. And that's the 2 songs when we go downtown to audition on 220 West 42nd Street in September of 1955. September cover. We're going to record in December, then it comes out in January 56. So we go downtown and audition in September of 1955, George Goldner. Barrett took us down, George Goldner. And after we record in December, back to the royalties. After we recorded, we went there Friday night. We're going to leave Saturday morning. After, say, 26 takes, they decided they got the one that they want, Why the Fools Fall in Love, and Please Be Mine. They're going to send us home in a checker cab at between 1 and 2 in the morning. The question comes up, who wrote Why the Fools Fall in Love? We're going to change the name to Why the Fools. We're going to change Why the Birds Sing So Gay to Why the Fools Fall in Love.
That's a better title, actually.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about that last part. Yeah.
Well, we
I'm
You
gotta
glad
don't
y'all
know that
said it.
part. You don't
well,
know
we gotta
about
ask
that
God. I
part.
mean, and now wait, ask God, brother,
I
cousin, brother,
will.
ask God. Who is the
Got
biggest
you.
fool in God, right? God
Correct.
loved the world. Now, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Wait. Wait a minute. Y'all have
Yeah.
to hear the story. You got to hear the story. Jimmy, you got to tell them the story. Why? And tell me, how did you come up with the concept? Or better yet, tell us about the day you asked that very question. Who was the bigger fool? Please do share. Do share. Excuse me, everybody. I suggest you all sit back, get your drinks, pop your bottles, because this is going to be interesting. Sit back, start your watches. He about to tell you a good one. Go ahead, Jimmy. Tell a story. Tell a story. Tell a story.
Listen, us guys are looking at you because the woman is the one who wrote the words.
Yeah, but we wrote the words. But you got a story behind that one. Who's the bigger fool? Come on, share, share, share.
Well, I mean, the lady that wrote this thing, she probably was, she's very upset. And like I was saying, when I look at the terminology fool today, I mean, who's a bigger fool than God? I mean, God so loved the world, and the world was loaded. The world is loaded with fools today, loaded. And God says, I'm going to change. The only way I can get you changed is to be a fool for you. So
Ooh,
yeah, and
ooh.
yeah. And so I'm going to be a fool for you because I don't want you to be I don't want you to end up in hell. So God goes out and he says, okay, God loves the world. So what he's going to do, he's going to give up his kid. He's going to get his kid to lay down his life for all the people that are no good, that lie, they cheat. And if you accept my gift, I'm a fool for you, but I want you to live. I want you to come out from eternity, not hell. I don't want you to go to hell. So I'm going to lay down my son for you. And if you accept the fact that he is doing what I told him to do for you, and you accept that reality, then you're not going to perish and go to hell. You're going to go to eternity. So who's a bigger fool than God? So he turns around and says, love God with all your heart. Love your neighbor. What? Hey, don't even get me started on family. Neighbor. I'm a big fool. I gotta love neighbors and my family and anybody that hated on me. Otherwise, I'm not gonna go to eternity. All the thieves,
So,
George Goldman, Morris Levy ripped me off all the money that I made. The records are still playing today, and Morris Levy beat George Goldman out the royalties, and Morris Levy's the one getting my money. No, his kids because he's dead.
Yes.
That's why the
like
fool.
I said, get your drinks. You don't need a drink after that one. You're gonna need a
So,
shot glass after that one.
so Mr.
You
So, so Mr. Merchant,
Yes, sir.
so when you hear about characters like Suge Knight, does he kind of with Death Row Records and all that? Does he kind of remind you of Morris Levy, how he operated his record company, and P Diddy and all them? But
Yeah,
they talk about Suge Knight because he's the one that's away right now. But do you concede those two, Morris Levy and Suge Knight, like kind of like the same?
well, probably Don can ask the question better, but I can put it this way to you. Anybody that tells you they want to do something for you because you have something of value, you are an artist, you paint great pictures, you write great songs, and they take your songs and set you up in such a way where they got you working to write songs and you don't get a penny. Because when they told our parents that our money was going into royalties. Don't worry, parents, Mr. Merchant, Mr. Gomes, Mr. Santiago, Mr. Negroni, Mr. Negroni, he has dad. His mom wasn't around. Mrs.
Right, right.
Santiago, Herm's mother, Mrs. Merchant, my mom. And Mrs. Lyman, Frankie's mom, we're gonna make sure you guys get your royalties when you turn 21 because that's the law. You can't. You're too young to make. We were going all over the world. All over
18 months you
England,
was on the
Orange.
road, right?
Pardon?
18 months you was on the road, right?
Who?
18 months you was on the road? 18 months, 2 years, close to that time?
The better way to say that the group was together for 18 months. That's the
Okay.
better way to say it.
Okay.
We were together for 18 months. And during that 18-month period, we did tours, the Apollo Theater, the Paramount Theater, TV shows. We went to Ireland, Panama, Ireland,
Wow.
Scotland. We did the last thing we did was 3 months in Ireland. It was called I forget, but it was Ireland, Scotland, Ireland, England, Ireland, and Scotland.
Okay. Okay.
England, Ireland, Scotland, right? So it was the British Isles we did that ended up in June of 1957, and we came back and the group was broken up. So there's your
Wow.
18 months. January in June of 57, 18 months later, we came home from Europe separated.
Why?
Good question. They wanted to make Frankie an independent singer. They wanted to make him a star because Frankie was a gem. He was a gem of a performer. And once again, Morris Levy's in charge. And they're looking to cut out four other people don't get paid for the kids. And they tell Frankie's mother, we're going to make your kid a star. And while he's in Europe with Frankie, while Frankie is on tour, touring the British Isles, because we went there in March. April, May, June, April. We were there for 90 days. And while we're in Europe, we didn't know it, but they started recording Frankie by himself with strings, the whole thing. And when we learned about it, being teenagers, we raised hell. Hold up. What y'all doing? Well, we want Frankie to go on stage just for one song to sing by himself. You kidding us or what?
Wow.
And I made a call in New York, and I found out that the song that had just came out was a song called "Out in the Cold Again," a great song, "Out in the Cold Again." The flip side of "Out in the Cold Again" was a song called "A Miracle in the Rain" by Frankie by himself. When I learned that, and I said, and I told the boys, let's have a meeting in the hotel in England, because I learned that "Out in the Cold Again" is out. And my friend, a girlfriend I had, she told me "A Miracle in the Rain" was the flip side. How come y'all are not on that record? How come you're not on the flip side of the song? We had a conversation in the hotel, and that's where hell broke out in that room.
I bet it did.
Oh yeah.
You said hell broke out. Y'all did y'all
fisticuffs?
Yeah.
Herman got mad and punched Frankie in his face.
Wow. That's not
You
funny.
know what?
Mr.
That. Hold on, sis. You know what, Mr. Merchant? You just saying that, you think of the same practice they do today, like the New Edition story. They quote unquote kick Bobby Brown out. But then the record company came to see Bobby Brown and say, hey, look, don't worry about them. We got a contract with you. We can record you. You don't need those guys. We want you. You know what I mean? Think of and you mentioned the Temptations earlier, one next to y'all, one of the greatest groups that ever did it.
Awesome.
Everybody knew. I mean, they had Eddie, Paul, Nelson. They were like the classic. But everybody knew, and as good as Dennis Edwards was, everybody knew that David Ruffin was that guy. However,
that guy, yes, he was.
He was that guy. However, his ego, he kind of did it the wrong way. because everybody, I mean, my parents, they would say when they went to the Uptown up in Philly to see the Temptations, yes, they liked them all, but David Ruffin was that guy. He was that guy, you know. But you know, it's that part where you said how the group broke up. They put that in a little bit in the movie too. They still do it today. They always. That's why it's not a lot of groups that's out today. There's a lot of solo artists. I think Beyonce was the last one that left a group and went solo. But everybody else coming out now, this is like straight solo. There's no the dynamic in the groups is not there no more. Even in rap music, it used to be Public Enemy, Run DMC, and everybody else. Now you got Kanye West, you got Little Yo-Yo, whatever. You got this person, you got that person. Record companies, and like you said earlier, instead of dealing with the group dynamic, they just want to deal with one because that's all they got to pay is one. And it's been going on for years. But
that's it.
It's not that they want to deal with one. No, it's not that they want to deal with one. There's dynamics to a group. And the dynamics happen to be anytime somebody spots an individual in a group that seems to have the audience's attention and ear, you have people talking to that individual, trying to pry him away. Oh, it doesn't even have to be the record company. It can be an individual. And if you watch the thing that took place with David Ruffin, he had a guy talking to him that the guy talked himself into becoming David Ruffin's manager.
Correct.
That's how he got put out the group. That was the dynamics. It happens all the time. You had the same thing. You name a group. There are very few groups that start out as a group and remain as a group. You get the OJs, the Whispers. There's very few groups that remain like that, okay, that consider themselves to be a family, and their togetherness is greater than anybody trying to push an individual out on their own. Even the Whispers had Scotty. They had people talking to Scotty, trying to push him out to become an individual artist. You have to understand that you have people doing that. If I'm an agent and I understand, wow, Michael has got all these people behind him. He can make so much more money if he gets rid of his brothers, and I make that much more money as his manager. Because his money does not have to be split after his. Exactly. So that's basically it. Record companies understand. Record companies really don't give two hoots in hell.
They don't.
Record companies are interested in one thing: how much money they make. Okay? And they don't care how much money. The bottom line is, if I'm going to give out $5,000, I don't care whether I give $5,000 to Michael or $5,000 to him and his brother, because I'm getting the bulk of the money. I don't care how I get it. It's irrelevant how I get it. Whether I pay 5 guys or 1 guy, doesn't make any difference. The amount of money I get is the same. The amount of money I'm going to give to them, that's different. How they split it, that's different. What I take in, don't mean a damn thing. I mean, I worked with Epic Records. I worked with Columbia Records and Big East Records. We don't care. We could care less how they do that. Because we're not splitting our money with anyone. They're the ones having to split the money.
I told you.
So an agent will see that and try to pluck out an individual so that he can draw more money.
Well, I am
That's
another.
all it is.
I have an observation.
It's all about capital.
Oh, I Mr. Don, I understand that. When I was used to intern at Rough House Records, which used to be on 4th and Spring Garden, I met Cypress Hill. I met various groups. I met Joe Nico and Chris Swartz. And I just, as a college kid, I was just, sitting in the office with them. and getting an education, basically, on how everything you said. That's exactly the mindset. There was one group, I'm not going to mention their name, but they wasn't selling as well. And I remember coming in from school because I went to Temple. I remember he always had a meeting with everybody. He didn't care if he was an intern or whatever. And he put it out there like, listen, off this album, y'all got to make some noise. Because if you don't, I'm dropping you. And I, as a 20-some-year-old kid, I'm like, damn, how could you say something like that? But as I got to understand more of the industry and working with independent artists, which we have a few independent artists on our watch page tonight. Shout out to Tamarita Sheen and Irene Allure. They're getting to see an education, everything that you're speaking, you know. This is stuff that need to be heard because I feel that sometimes artists, like the both your gentlemen both described, like Mr. Merchant and yourself, they walk into this industry with a blind eye, you know, because they feel that it's about the fame and the fortune and, oh my God, I'm going to be known. But then they forget that it's the music business, business, business. That's what a lot of people forget. That's
It
what
is
they
business.
forget.
But here's what you have to understand about the business, and especially back then. You're talking about people that were very young kids,
Right,
basically in high school or junior high school, that really didn't know anything about the business. And they're getting in.
right,
They wanted to be part of this business for, and I know for a fact because I've had a lot of them tell me,
right.
they wanted to have a record out because it wasn't about the money. It was about them getting the attention of girls.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I've heard that.
So you had grown men telling kids, I'm going to get you a record, but you have to hurry up and sign this contract. I don't have all day, and the record company is not going to wait. So what you had was people taking advantage. These people, which mostly were Jewish lawyers and everything that knew the law, wrote and that these kids signed that actually their rights to the music, their rights to the group name, and everything else. I'll tell you, I became friends with a very good artist by the name of Benny King. And when I became friends with Benny King, my question to him was, Benny, I got a question. Why did you quit the Drifters? And you know what his statement to me was?
What?
I never quit the Drifters.
Mm.
I wrote a song that night that we were going to rehearse. And when I got to rehearsal, the manager told me I was fired.
Wow.
My whole thought was Benny had quit the Drifters to become a solo artist. No, he wasn't. He was pushed out.
And you know
Wow.
what? There's a lot of that
Plain
going
and
on.
simple.
That's a
Rick
lot. There's a lot
Shepherd
of that
took his
going
place.
on.
Bottom line.
That's
The
yeah.
bottom line was that he was pushed out of it. And this is the thing. All the music that he had written, he wasn't getting paid for because it belonged to guess who? The
Who?
manager. Everybody knows who George Clinton is, P Funk.
Yes.
He has written so many songs that has garnished so much money that was not his. Why? Because his manager put his name on
Yeah,
George's music because
yeah,
George
yeah.
gave it to him. Hey,
I heard
we're
about
busy.
that.
We doing this. We flying around. We recording this. Do me a favor. Uh, Sign this and send it in so it goes to the Library of Congress. Well, he
Hmm.
did,
Hmm.
except
Hmm.
he
Hmm.
didn't put George's name on it. Put his own name on it. George has been into court some 8 to 12 times trying to sue. And you know what the court has told him? We understand that you may have written that music, and you probably did. There's only one problem.
Your name
It's
not on it.
registered with your manager's name, and we have to pay it out and go in accordance with what we find on the paperwork. So the money
Wow.
goes to guess who? Your
Yeah.
agent. Those are
I,
stuff they didn't know. One of the reasons when I have a lot of artists or any artist, my thing is to give them an education as to this is what you need to know. Even if somebody is taking care of things, and I tell artists all the time, you need a team. You need a team to do the things that basically require a lot of time so you have the time to do the necessary things an artist needs. Write music, record, perform, but you need to know how it works so you can keep an eye on what's supposedly yours and you're
right,
not being
right,
taken advantage of.
right.
What were
I
you
think
about to say,
It's part
Ted?
of the business.
What were you
Well,
about to say, Ted?
it was just a
Just
little
like the
story.
program Empire, people thought Empire was a joke and it the business didn't work like that. Oh, it works exactly like that. I say
exactly.
two things. The business has got two things. It's got sharks and guppies don't have teeth, and they get eaten.
Woo!
And Lucius
Wow.
and Lucius Line had big teeth, didn't he?
Well, wait a minute, Will. Wait a minute, Will. Ted was trying to say something. Go ahead, Ted.
Well, this kind of goes back um, early '80s, and this is really pertaining to how I even got started in music. There was a friend of
Can't
mine.
see you. Can't see you.
Yep,
Can't
yep.
see you.
Sorry. Hold on, my battery's dying. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, anyway, this goes back to artists being prepared when it comes to them doing their craft. A young man that I was in. This is when I was in Germany. The way I learned how to be a DJ was I'm not going to say his name. He's passed on, but I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, and this guy was from Neptune, New Jersey, and he basically taught me. Um, he basically taught me. There's my glasses. I found them. He basically taught me the ins and outs of being a DJ, and just shorten the story up. So I ended up coming to West Point, New York, and I get on the train and I go to Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, those places like that. And so I hear something on the radio, WBLS, I think it's WBLS, and I hear this beat. I had a machine called a Dr. Rhythm. I created. There's no way someone else could have created this because it came from my mind and my fingers. And the trustworthiness in this industry is crazy because I actually went by and there was a DJ called DJ Red Alert. And I don't know if you guys heard of him, but well, he's pretty well known.
Yeah, I heard of him. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there. I'm sitting at a by a park. This guy has a boombox, and I hear this beat. And I'm sitting there thinking, and there's some different things you could do with a Dr. Rhythm. And in my mind, I'm hearing, I said, I know every beat, every note, every sound that's going to come out of this. And come to find out, I probably legally can't, I'm going to say it anyway. But there's a song where I have to be careful because I don't know who owns it now. Because as a young kid, I was just too dumb. I didn't follow through, and I was just doing something as a hobby. And basically what it was is someone sampled what I created, and they put it into a song. And so right then and there, it's basically you have to really be careful when you are doing things in your craft. Of course, times have changed now where I think the kids are more savvy now. There's a lot of instant gratification going on. But, to hear that, I always would sit and wonder, what if I'd have got that copyrighted? What if someone had told me while I was in the Army. He said, "Look, man, they're playing this in the nightclubs," and they were. It was they actually could sample that song or some of that music right now, and what the Dr. Rhythm is a drum machine, and it had horns, it had all the different things that you could do, and you literally could lay down that track and then lay another track on top of it of vocals or whatever else you wanted to do. So this is early on. This is like 1980, probably like 84, 85. And you know, the first thing that a soldier wants to do when he's
Nobody
young,
told you about a poor man's copyright.
yeah. And you know, for this to be like 1980, like maybe 86, 87, sitting in this park, and I hear this guy with this boom box, and my head almost fell off because I'm thinking, there's not a day that goes by that I think about what if. And that's the sad thing, is because even Ice Cube, he took control of of NWA. He really left the group because he saw that things were going on, and he's like, wait a minute, how's this guy getting all this money? You go after a guy, Eazy-E, that really wasn't even a rapper. They kind of, Dr. Dre helped turn him in, and Ice Cube, they turned him into a rapper. But they took what was marketable for them to make money. And, and it's the same thing with what he was just talking about as far as being careful. So any artists out there that are doing anything, you got to really, even nowadays of, even technology and legal systems, you still have to watch your P's and Q's. A young lady that's from here, everybody knows her. She's from one of the largest selling girl group in history, TLC. Tion Watkins is right here from Des Moines, Iowa, but they moved later on to Atlanta, and you guys know the story about that. So
I ain't got no scrub,
yeah.
I ain't getting no
And,
love
and,
from me.
and to
Is
tell
that
you the
another
truth,
set of women?
to tell you the
Don't
truth,
go
she was the voice of that group.
Listen to the rivers and the that we use.
Yeah.
Ted,
Yeah.
do me a favor.
Yeah.
Call Miss Tion Watkins and tell her that my sister is ruining the song, okay?
Oh, I'm gonna call. Where my
Tell her stop it.
phone at?
Tell her stop it.
You know what I got to say to you, Wiz? You know what I got to say to you? Let me tell you what I got to say to you.
Uh-oh.
You ready?
You know what Tion?
I am telling you.
You know what Tion would do? Tion would say, she'd probably like, sing it, girl. Because the ladies hang it. The ladies hang together. They hang together.
Tell me I can't sing. I'm going to show you not only I can sing, I can rap dance at just one show. What?
But you know what, sis? You know what? Everything like, oh Lord.
I can bring home the bacon.
Mr. Merchant, look. Mr. Merchant, look.
It's still happening. See, Don, you want to manage me. Don, you want to manage me too. I'm just saying, you want to manage me too. So let's get back to the time at hand.
Yes,
and also,
absolutely.
Also, we have Valina Hayes. She's back. It's called she's dropped her single on Spotify, Back to Us. We also have Adrian Hampton, who also just dropped her new song from her album her stage name Sapphire, and we're waiting for her single to drop. We just have a lot of music that's going on. We have also.
You forgot to mention one more song. I heard it today before we got on, with Mr. Merchant and Mr. Don. I listened to the song Prototype. I love it, by Jeff Bradshaw. I listened to the words. That's on point.
Now you understand what I'm saying. Now you understand what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Look, I need a moment. I need a moment. Y'all got to grant me this moment. Just give me this moment. That's
Go
what I
ahead.
meant by when I said the messages in our music. If you listen to that song, and that song was originally written by Andre 3000, but Jeff Bradshaw got together with the two fellas, Raphael, and he put his little trombone to it and put his voice to it, sassed that thing, gave it a little jazz flavor that really made a woman stop and said, I know, I think you are the one. In fact, you are the prototype. You know, a woman stop for a minute, be like, excuse me, really? What else you got to say? It's like he brought back that feeling of I got your attention. He brought the real rap game back. I'm just
Yes.
telling you. And he not
I
only did he
listen.
bring the rap game back, he brought the rap game back with friends. And he
Listen.
did it with jazz. Like it's a lot of music, like with me. Like I said today earlier, I said when I listen to music, I don't just listen to the beat. Sometimes the beat gets my attention, but the words really is what really micro me. But if I get a song and I ain't got no words and I just got the music, it's like I'm in my own world. But that song right there, actually, his whole album is like it's off the chain. So all this new music that's dropping, please. And if you haven't downloaded the prototype by Jeff Bradshaw, or if you haven't downloaded Back to Us by Valina Hayes, I suggest you do it. Because if you don't, you missing out on it. That's the most beautifulest gift you can ever give yourself right now, especially right now. Because with that song alone, being quarantine 2020, if I was having a fight with my man and he came home and said, I think I'm in love again, when you didn't like me before we got locked in the house, but now you loving me again, or better yet, we started talking and you gave up on love. And now you telling me you're in love again. Mm, that's where I am. I gave up on love. And I was like, you know what? I think it's best that Shauna just be a solo act, just like them
Well,
little single groups.
you know, the original rappers are people like Jimmy, because they were rapping to the women because
Yeah,
that
Jimmy
that
got me
was
in a lot of trouble. Jimmy got me
uh,
in a lot of trouble. He
oh, I
sure
bet.
did. Jimmy got me in a lot of trouble. Yeah, he got me in a
Shauna,
lot of trouble. Yeah.
Ted,
Yeah.
why do you think the song is called Why Do Fools
Fool. Shauna,
Fall
fool.
in Love?
But it
Fools.
surely was directed at the men, because we ain't nothing but a bunch of fools when it come to women. So, you know, we just
Mr.
foolishly
You know
Merchant,
fall
what?
in love.
Mr.
You know,
Merchant,
But
Yes.
wait,
thank you.
before you do that, but wait a minute, Will, before you do that, let me just say this real quick to Mr. Merchant, because this was really funny. When I first met Jimmy was my Facebook friend.
Okay.
And I was like, now you know how I do. I do my little lives. And I was like, oh, hey, how you doing? And he's like, I really like what you're doing. Like, thank you. And then Jimmy was like, I was like, oh, he's like, well, do you know who I am? I'm like, yeah, you're my Facebook buddy. How funny was that? I'll be like, no, he's like, you know what? If you think I'm just your Facebook buddy, I think you need to go on my page and see who I am. When I went on my page, I was like, oh!
And Mr. Merchant,
Wait, it
piggybacking
gets
off.
better. Wait, it gets better. Then he was like, I want you to talk. I want you to talk to my manager, and my manager is gonna let you know about what we'll be doing on Saturday. I said, okay. He said, my manager is Donald DaCosta. I'm like, Donald, he's my Facebook friend too. Oh my goodness. And I was like, wait a minute, who the heck are my Facebook friends? Like, y'all were really my friends. And I was like, dang, I thought I knew all my Facebook friends, but I only know what y'all tell me and what y'all show me. But now you opening up your office and your homes. And again, I just want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to sit with us and just talk with us, because I was like, yo, I did your song for my fifth grade talent night. And I thought y'all were girls. So for me to do the girl act of Why Do Fools Fall in Love, you can imagine how small I felt when I found out they were boys. And I was like, wait a minute, I was up there doing it as a girl though, but it was a boy. So yeah. So back to why we're here. Jimmy, y'all were a bunch of girls, huh?
Well, this is a great.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don has a question.
Well, then let me just say, let me just
Yeah, I have a
insert.
question. You had a girl group doing Why Do Fools Fall in Love?
I did it as a
I want to
single.
know what girl was doing Sherman's part.
Oh,
Oh,
trust me,
because
I
I
can do
wanted
that.
to know what girl was doing Sherman's
I'm,
part.
I'm gonna give it to you right now. You ready? Do up, do up, do up, do.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Hey, I bet
Well,
there's some ladies out there that can hit them deep notes too.
you
I'm gonna
know,
tell you, I have a choir. I have a choir, Tri-City Choir, and the Tri-City Choir is about 500 voices deep. And our female tenors, I'm trying to tell you, they kill the men. They kill them. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a deep man, but when the women be hitting them notes, all goes out to my tenor gospel singers. I'm just saying. So, did I answer your question, Don?
well, let me
Oh,
add
yes, you
this.
did.
Let me add this little quick story. Remember, we recorded "Why the Fools Fall in Love"
Right.
the first week in December. I'm calling um, George Goldner. Mr. Goldner, when is the record coming out? When is the record coming out? He says, look, I'll let you know. It's like the second or going into the third week of December. Mr. Goldner, I call him again. Then finally he said, look, we decided that your record will be released after the Christmas holidays to avoid the Christmas rush. I said exactly when? He said, well, after the Christmas holidays. And you go back to school in September, but you take the break for Christmas and you go back to school after the New Year. So you the break is you celebrate Christmas, then New Year, and you go back to school January. The first day is probably the second or the third day of the month of January. I'm changing classes. Back in school, Goldner said that Fools was going to be released just before New Year's. It's the second or the third day of the month. I got it on file. I think it's the second. Um, and I'm changing classes. And I'm going to one of my classes, a little white girl with the big white skirts and the bucks and the Gwendolyn's. And she said, "Tell me why." Changing classes, the first day back in school. And I saw her. She's going. I know her because she's in one of my classes. And I go over to her. She could not breathe. She couldn't breathe. I said, I said, I said, I know you. You're going to my same class. She said, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? I said, can you just tell me, where did you hear that song? What do you mean? Where did you hear that song? It's everywhere. It's on every radio station. I said, oh, really? Well, who are they? She said, they're 5 white girls. They call them the teenagers.
Mm.
Oh wow,
The rest is history.
wow.
But you know what?
Wasn't
You
the
know
only
what,
song
sis?
that weren't the
Something
only
about
songs that you did. What were the other songs?
Pardon?
What those weren't the only songs that you did from the love letters. What were the other songs?
Just that one from the love letters, because I had written I Want You to Be My Girl and Please Be Mine, and we had recorded that. But then people started writing songs for us. That's how the
Okay.
industry goes. But listen, folks, I'm going to have to let you guys go.
Oh, well,
And
we thank you for your time. We really do. And again, thank you. Thanks to Miss Mary
yes,
and to Adrian. Tell him I
yes.
said
Thank,
in love, smooches in
oh,
love.
thank you so much.
To
Thank
another.
you.
Tell him thank you for helping us to bring you on to speak with us. But
Well,
that doesn't mean
just don't forget me when you get famous. I'll be
man,
your
you
I'll be
let me
your
say,
I'll
hey
be
sis, hey sis, sis.
wait, don't get it
You know
twisted.
what?
Trying to drop some notes. Don't push me.
Spare the
Don't
notes. Spare the notes. Spare the
I can hit,
notes.
I can hit some notes.
I'm sure you can, Mr. Merchant.
Yes.
You know
I can
what?
bring my
Oh,
twin
here
up
she
here.
go. Here she
Make me,
go.
make me send my twin. She'll get up there. She'll really drop some notes for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Merchant.
Okay, guys. Sister Shauna, I'm gonna have to say I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir. It was
Thank
an
you.
honor
Thank you,
speaking with
Don.
you. Thank you, Mr. Don. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
We're,
Don
we're,
leave. I don't think Don's leaving the party. Is Don
we're
leaving the
all,
party?
we are all here for a purpose.
Yes, we
Yes.
are.
We are all being used in whatever. I got one verse to show you. If I could find it. Okay.
You know what, Mr. Jimmy?
Yeah.
Before you go,
Yeah.
you forgot to say one more. I heard this song by accident.
Yeah.
Paper Castles.
Oh man, that's a great one. Oh, yeah. What about it?
I love it. I heard the lyrics of that song. I love it.
Yes. Let me leave you guys with just one verse.
Sure.
I guess you guys know I also minister. It's in the book of Psalms. I came across it today as I was studying Psalms 33, and this is for all of us. Let me see. Psalms.
Us ministers have to hang together now.
Okay.
Yes, we hear you, Minister Ted.
Yeah. I'm an associate pastor.
Oh gosh. Okay. Psalm 130. Is it 130?
Psalms 133.
I think it is 133. 133, is it? I'm getting there.
And you know why he's getting there? You know he's a true minister because the minister be saying, I'm going to make a closing, but after I make this one more.
Oh gosh.
He's like, give me 2 more minutes, and I promise you, I'm gonna leave y'all alone. 2 minutes become 20 minutes, and we be like this.
Oh, here it is. I got it. Okay. Y'all listening? You ready?
Yes.
Okay, make a note of it, if you will. It's Psalm 33. And it deals with purpose.
Yes.
That we all got a purpose.
Amen.
Psalm 33, verse 13. The Lord looks from heaven and he sees all the sons of men.
Yes.
Keep an eye on that word all. From the place of his dwelling, he looks on all. There's the word all.
Yes, sir.
The inhabitants of the earth.
Yes, sir.
He fashions. The word fashion means shape. He shapes their hearts individually. So God is looking on the planet. He's looking at each and every man on this planet. He's involved with the shaping of each of our hearts, no matter where you are on the planet. It says it. The Lord looks from heaven. He sees all the sons of men. From the place of his dwelling, he looks on all the inhabitants of the earth. He fashions, he sharpens their hearts individually. There's no two people the same on this planet. God is working with each and every heart. Why? He considers all their works. So everything that every man on this planet has something to do with God fashioning their heart to do something in this planet that relates to God. That's it. It's all about. I made a note on the side. God has written His will, His purpose for our lives in the very fibers of our personality, our gifts, our talents, and our abilities. God has inserted that with regard to what God wants done. And to bring it to a close, the reason being, the reason being, because this thing is coming to an end and God is a fool in love with the world. And when you accept Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, remember, God so loved the world. That is an unconditional love that we're to have as we operate for Him. You can't pick and choose.
True.
Family, neighbors, people that did you in, keep them at a distance, but you love them because what you want is for them to turn their hearts around. God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. I said, who's a bigger fool and love than God? That He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believe shall not perish, but not have a new home, not get a Rolls Royce, not get money laid out, a top-notch job, but eternal life. Love God, love Jesus for eternal life. All the rest of the stuff you got to work at. So all these people talking about, I love the Lord is going to bless me with a brand new mansion. No, you get a job, dude. Because if you love the Lord, you're loving Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. Your salvation is in place and your place in eternity. Period. That's the unconditional love of God. I'll leave it on this note. The conditional love of God is when you actually accept Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. And now you're a child of God, a man of God, a woman of God. So there's two conditions. God is the fool. God is a fool. He falls in love with the world for a purpose to get you saved so you can become a child of God, a man of God, where you walk around with the light, because Jesus was the light. He says, now I'm the light of the world, but I'm leaving the light with you. So our job is in all that we do. We just read that. Whatever field you're in, you're ministering ultimately who God is and why you came about. It started out with a dream. I got famous. I got mad at myself because I didn't make no money. I ran the streets, went crazy. And one day somebody said, you need Jesus Christ. I went to church. I got saved. And I learned that all those things that God gave me to become famous was for Him to get me on a TV show like this and talk about God. Amen. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
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 I love
Amen.
God. I love you guys.
We love you.
Be blessed.
And Mr. Merchant,
Thank you.
thank you for that. And in the background, I know you can barely hear it, but I have one of your songs playing. I want you to be my girl.
Oh, wow. That's the first one that I wrote.
Will, as he's leaving, so the rest of our listeners can hear it.
Girl.
Wow.
You turn it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you again, Jimmy.
Oh, you're welcome, sister.
I love you, baby, and want you to be my
Listen to that. Real music.
Yes, play it. Turn it up. Turn it up.
People, thank you for your time.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm a red shoe.
Come to break.
I'm a red shoe.
I'll never let you go. Come on, baby, please don't goodbye. I love you, baby, and want you to be my girl. Come and take me by the hand. Tell me how your love will you for me before you will love me.
Here comes a break.
Love you, baby. Love you, baby. Love you, baby. I love you, baby. I want you to be my girl.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, Mr. Merchant.
Thank you. God bless you all. I love you guys. Grace and peace. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
I thought that was all.
Thank you.
With that, people, have a pleasant evening. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to talk with you
Mr.
guys
Don,
again.
it's an honor. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you,
Mr. Don.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Yes.
I thank you guys for inviting me, and I hope that we get a chance to do this again sometime.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. Just look for my phone call or my text
Thank
message.
you. You guys have a blessed evening.
You too. Thanks again, Don.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I shall, Sana. You guys have a blessed evening. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Good night. So there you have it, y'all. That was
You're
Donald
welcome.
DaCosta. That was Donald DaCosta and Jimmy Merchant, and whew, that was some deep stuff.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, like you guys little history lesson up in there. We got a chance to find out why the things is mixed, and we got a chance to find out why William is such a hater when it comes to the Fraser women that can sing. Man, wait till I get my icons up. I'm trying to tell you, when I get my icons up, wait till you see what I got for you. I got some stuff for you, okay?
You wait till I get my surgery done, and I'm gonna show you how to blow.
Uh-oh.
And I'm gonna sing, and I'm gonna sing it to you, always and forever.
Ooh.
Me?
Not
Singing to
you,
her.
Will. Not you, Will.
Moment with you.
No, I'm serious. I've been told that I sing that song.
To me.
I've been told that I sing that song exactly like them.
Excuse me, I was singing it to you. Let me try it again.
It's not quite like how I do it.
Will, can you please hook it up? While Will is trying to hook it up, and we get ready for the next half of this show real quick, because we ready to do a battle of the means of what song and what the song really meant. Right, Will?
Can I play a song though? Ted?
You supposed to go ahead.
I want to play a song. Play a nice song.
He is such a baby.
While y'all two battle it out, I'm gonna get a song for you.
Give him a song to play, and then he tells us the song he wants to play. You know what? I feel like Michael Jackson on the stick. Can I tell you how much of Michael Jackson on the sticks I feel like? You can't win. You can't give in. Can you see me on the pole? And you can't get out of the game. People can sing. Things are gonna change, but William
This is for you, Shauna. This is for you.
Okay, I forgive you. But just like we just like, lady, if you feel I'm just saying. Send us the part if you're feeling it. Yo, turn your cups up. What can I say? Just think it over.
Put your hands together.
Lighters. Turn it up. All my life.
I like to spend my time. Let's fall in love. Think it over, girl. Come a little closer, girl. Let's fall in love. someone to love. Darling, it's you I've been dreaming of. And I wanna be the one to love. The story's been told to me by the stars above. Stars above.
Play, y'all, play.
You know, come a little closer, girl. Fall in love. Yeah, girl. Come closer, girl. Never let me. Feelings come over me, baby. Now that I found your love, I am so complete, so let's fall in love. Come a little closer, girl. Let's fall in love. Get a little closer, girl.
Now, see,
Everybody needs someone
right there.
to love. Darling, it's you I've been dreaming of. And I wanna be the one to love. Story's been told to me by the stars above. Stars above.
Think it over.
Closer,
Come a little closer, girl.
Come a little
Now, I'm not gonna let you talk, sis. I'm just gonna keep on. I'm gonna hit you with some tracks. Stay right there. I got something else for you. Don't say nothing.
Don't say nothing. Ah, this is every side chick theme song. This is the side chick theme song. This is the side chick theme
morning, get out, and we slept the night away. Oh, now we can turn back the hands of time.
Feeling it, Ted? I know how to calm down, Shona.
Yes, this love is more than
side chick theme song.
just a peaceful, simple life. We both belong to someone else.
Yes.
The night away, morning, sunlight shines across your sleeping face. The new day means reality, and we must go out. What a lovely night we had together. as we shared each other's love. We forgot about the pain we caused as the night away. As we lay, we forgot about tomorrow as we lay. Hey, as we lay. Oh, didn't think about the price we had to pay. Oh no, no, no. And now it's time for us to say goodbye. Goodbye, baby. You're leaving me. I know you got to hurry home to make your wife. I would never want to have time now. She would never understand. You long to recall just one night as we slept the night away. She never understands. You belong to me for just one night, and we left the night away. We forgot about tomorrow as we lay. Oh, as we lay. Didn't think about the price we had to pay. Oh no, hey, we should have counted before. But hurry along. It's
No, what's wrong with it? You got muffled.
it's a we forgot about
Well, yeah, that's the theme song of every side chick that knows she's a side chick.
Ted, you okay, cousin?
I'm all right.
Am
Listen,
I right? Am I right, Ted? She
You're
knew
right.
she was a side, she knew she was a side chick, and she's okay with it.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing.
yeah,
And it's so many, and unfortunately, that's where we are. Is sad because we're at a point in our lives where people are saying it's okay. It's okay that I'm with you and I'm with you because you know about each other, and since y'all know about each other, or even if you don't know about each other, I'm gonna do me because I'm not in a we're just seeing each other or we friends with benefits.
And
I
there's
mean,
even more to that song where I mean, it's a continual thing. Um, it's like people don't understand their self-worth. And in order to feel like you feel wanted or needed or important, that you'd rather be a side chick. And that's crazy. Or a side dude. It doesn't, it works both ways, but normally it's a side chick. And it is sad. We can't even give it a good title. We call it the side chick. And that's the sad thing that, and it's even gotten worse from our time when that song came out to even now.
87. 87.
Yeah. And it's one of the oldest things in life where it's not as prevalent as now, because I think that women now they're a lot stronger. Not to say they weren't strong back in our time, but now they're stronger because women are more independent. They really don't need a guy for a lot of things. And a lot of people make jokes about being the side chick, but it still goes into their mental and your mental. Why would you think that you can't find your own person and you'd rather be the second guy or the side chick? And it's really sad. But what do y'all think about that?
Well,
My,
go ahead, Shauna. Take
I
it.
mean, my thing always been, yeah, like you said, knowing your self-worth. My thing is you deserve one person. Now, granted, for whatever reason, you're sitting on the fact that you don't want that one person. But it's just too acceptable right now to the fact that I have to share. Why do
Right.
you have to share? It's supposed to be a one-on-one affair. Now, I understand, we right now we're crossing the line on religion. In some religions, they believe that that's okay. This is how we do. But even then, they say there's a certain rule to you having these many women too. And it's like they have a new word for it now. It's the new thing now to relationships and I'm like just sitting there like I'm a whole planet by myself. And I'm not saying this being vain. Some things that I'm not going to be able to do that's going to be pleasing that he's going to need, but I guarantee you he's never going to be hungry.
Oh,
I'm going to make sure he's always fed whatever it is that he needs. Yeah, he's going to have some desires and I may not be able to fulfill every desire, but I guarantee you he's going to be happy because I'm gonna keep him content and happy with it. But there's just some men that because of whatever, and then you can't even judge that because you don't know what they've been through that caused them to the point where now they don't want to be in a serious relationship or they don't want to be in a one-on-one relationship because they never saw it work. So now they don't want to get in a relationship because they don't want to fall by the wayside of relationship, whether it be him or whether it be her, or maybe he got hurt. So now he don't want to ever get hurt again. So this is his safe haven is to deal with a woman that says, look, it's okay that you mess around with whoever you want to mess around with. And then you got the old school one. Girl, you better let him do whatever he want to do. And when he's tired, he's going to come back for you.
Get all that mess.
it's a
Let me tell you
song. It's a song, Shauna, that got that lyric in it. It's a song, old school song that got that lyric in it. You
and
know
there's
that,
still
right?
women that believe that to this day. They sit there on the fact of, I don't care what he do, I don't care where he going, as long as he knows where home is, or he don't bring this to my door. I'm sorry, he brought it to your door when he slept or was with somebody else, and now he with you. That's the reality of it. You want to see it in the way that you can sleep at night? Okay, so be it. But the truth of the matter is, who is he with tonight? Why do you want to live that type of life? I don't understand. I don't understand, and I don't understand. And I guess that was one of the reasons why I found it so hard because I couldn't trust nobody. I can't trust them to play the trust game. Is like I'm not saying I'm too strong of a woman, but my thing is, you know what? This what you got to play. This what you got to play. And you know exactly what I'm telling you to play. What did Kim say? Don't lie to me. And what did Usher say? Don't waste my time. Usher said it. Usher got the new single out right now, and it says, "Don't waste my time." And then Kim backed it up and said, "You know what? And while you're not wasting my time, don't lie to me." Am I right?
That's true.
You did.
Keep it 100 with me, because I may just say to you, you know what? I can deal with the story you're sticking with for right now, but just understand and know later I'm going to get tired and I'm going to want to be like, okay, you know what? Something got to give because I don't want to play this game no more. But you didn't take away my options.
Right.
You didn't take away my options. You let me know what the game was. But for all you women, know your worth. Don't you sit there and settle because you believe that this is all that life has to offer, or this is all that a man has to offer. No, you because you're so, don't be so anxious and don't be so impatient that you can't sit and wait for the one that is supposed to be coming to your door. Because the one that's gonna come to your door, you ain't gonna have to say nothing. You ain't gonna want nothing. You ain't gonna have to wonder for nothing, because it's gonna all come to you served on a platter. He gonna tell you what he want, when he want it, how he want it, and you decide if you can fill the order. And if you can fill the order, do y'all mean y'all gonna have problems? Of course. Are y'all gonna have arguments? Of course. But I love you enough to see past those things, and we work together and we stay together. That's the I don't know.
Well,
I
you
don't know.
gotta, you know what, Shona and Ted. Sometimes you gotta think about it. You gotta just say to yourself that you're not gonna hurt me no more at all.
Right.
I bet you ain't gonna hurt me no more. I bet you not.
But guess what? What my song say? What the song I was humming to you? You could tell you's a good DJ, my brother. You's a good
And
DJ.
here it
If
is,
I was,
Ted. You ain't gonna hurt me no more.
no
Here it
more.
is. You ain't gonna hurt me. Courtesy of my man, you know.
Hit me with it. Hit me with it.
Courtesy of Quincy Jones.
Where's it go? What you say? If you knew what you knew, I bet you wouldn't hurt me no more. I bet you wouldn't.
Never knew it so deep, and it made me blind to all there was to see. Now my heart is filled with pain. You understand? I never will. How did it come to be that you don't love me still? Now it's getting to be plain. Did you really care about anyone else? No, you wouldn't be. You cared about more than yourself. I bet you wouldn't know. If you really cared about anyone else, no, you wouldn't be. If you cared about more than yourself, would you walk out the door? Go some days, the blues was operate. Still we march through all the tears we made. Now I find it wasn't no game of charade that you played. I did my best to bring you joy. How can you just leave me like a broken toy? Where's the man that once was you? Oh, if I could be within your mind, I would never think to treat you this unkind. The pain you cause will come to you. Oh, if you care about anyone else, no, you wouldn't be. If you cared about more than yourself, I bet you wouldn't. If you care about anyone else, no, you wouldn't be. walk out the door. If you really care about anyone else, know you wouldn't me. If you care about more than yourself, I bet you would. If you really care about anyone else, know you wouldn't me. If you care about more than yourself, you wouldn't walk out the door. If you really care about anyone else, know you wouldn't me. If you care about more than yourself, if you really care about anyone else, know you wouldn't me. If you care about more than yourself, would you walk out the door? If you really care about anyone else, know you wouldn't me. If you care about more than yourself, what you wouldn't do. If you really care about anyone else, know you wouldn't do. If you care about more than yourself, would you walk out the door? If you really care about anyone else, know you wouldn't do. If you care about more than yourself,
Well, yeah, that they did. They care. You care.
my mind was changed. I'm glad you came.
Right. Don't waste my time.
Love in the air, baby, you know. Ain't no rush, you ain't let it where the time goes. You wanted to show me now. You're better than 1, 2 minutes. And I know that you feel me who we are. And feeling you. It's cool, that's true. You gotta move it, and I think I like it. I know all your insecurities. I hope that you're open. My body just knows that I want your energy. Girl, give me that. Girl, good love, no questions. Reach out, don't touch me. That happens, don't judge me. Just don't waste my time. No questions. Reach out, don't touch me. That happens, don't judge me. Just don't waste my time.
Coffee in the morning with a dirty man. Gotta pray right. Don't be simple when you really better lay back. I know you wanna go there. I see it's like fun. Come there. I know you can drive a chauffeur. Anticipate your touchdown. Put me down like right now. Let's be lovers and friends. Let's rendezvous. Boy, I got plans for you. Yes, I'm on repeat. I'm yours for the taking. I'm no further. I got what you need. Baby, I'm open. Down my attention. Be right there. Oh, baby, I need it.
Good love, no questions. Reach out, don't touch me. That happens, don't judge me. Just don't waste my time. No questions. Reach out, don't touch me. That happens, don't judge me. Just don't waste my time. Just about the corner. You need to play around. Let me see you here with somebody and you know you want their body. Come let me see it live.
it's about to go down. You know what you're saying, come and show me now. Unless if you with somebody and you know you want that body, then let me say love. No question. Reach out and just touch me. I have it, don't judge me. Just don't waste my time. Love, no question. Reach out, just touch me. I have it, don't judge me. Just don't waste my time. No, 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 no. Just don't waste my time.
So with that being said, my question is, do you think the music is tainted?
When you say tainted, what you mean? Oh, Ted, what you changing shirts, boy?
No, I had my Iowa State jacket on. It was getting hot.
Oh, okay, okay. Now, since you
My
say,
thing,
do you think its music is tainted?
well, I think right now they coming back with it strong because look at that. They got this one. They got the song by Kim. Now wait a minute. You said something earlier, and we didn't get a chance to hit it. You said you listened to the words to the song.
Would you like me to tell the world what that song was?
Sure. What was the song?
Let me bring it to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the No BS Duo Show proudly presents single by Mr. Jeff Bradshaw and Raheem DeVaughn called Prototype. I hope y'all ladies like it. I love it. And I'm giving it double thumbs. Cousin Ted, you gonna love it. Shauna, I know you love it. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Prototype. Let it rip, Shauna. Flip that screen.
Must be my lucky day, baby. We can do something not ordinary. Catch your man, baby, baby, baby. You are the prototype of love. You are the prototype. I think I'm in love with you. Oh, girl, if we happen to fall,
We happen to part.
Lord
Oh
knows I
no,
don't
no,
want
no,
that.
no.
Hey, 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 hey. Oh, no, no, no. We met the day for a reason. I think I'm on the right track
All right. So I'm listening. What's your take on this? You said you listened to the song. I'm listening. Go ahead. What did you say about it?
It's a special type of
So wait,
woman.
Ted, did you like it? Did you like it, Ted? Did you
I
like it?
love it. That's the song I
Okay.
was telling you about earlier today. Remember?
See, that's the song. So go ahead. Come on now. What you got to say about the
All
song?
right,
Go ahead,
okay,
William.
dig this, dig this, dig this. He's saying that a woman, that's a special woman. Prototype, as we all know, is a copy of something. So the woman that he's thinking about is a prototype of something already great. It could be his mother, it could be his grandma, it could be anybody. Woman, of course, and man too. A man could, you know. I think the song, the lyrics, and listen to it because I listened to it 8 times today because you had
Eight
put me on to
times.
it 8 times. I listened to it in the car. I was at the laundromat, I had my headphones on, and I was bobbing my head. I'm like, wow, because what got me was the song is it's deep, you know, and a lot of songs, as Ted touched on, and Mr. Merchant, Mr. Costas touched on earlier too. A lot of these songs today don't have that substance. You can sit back with your special someone, listen to the words, and really say, you know what, this song, I'm in love with you. I'm in love because you are made from something great. You are a copy of something great. When I listened to it 9 times, because I got to count this time too, I said, damn, this song is really, really deep. I downloaded it, I listened to it. I told my wife, I said, Rich, you think about this song, Rich? She sat down, she listened to it. She said, damn, who wrote that? I said, this is the song that, my sister Shauna sent to me. She listened to it 2 times. She said, damn. She gave me a kiss and said, songs like that, I will get remarried to.
There you go.
So are we asking? Are we going to have a do over of the vows? Is that what's going to happen?
Well, we
Go
got
ahead,
married
Ted.
in we got married in 2011. It's something we could talk about, but we're talking about
Okay.
prototype. That'll make you that that'll make you do it again. And even if you want to do it, that'll make you do it. Ted, am I lying?
Wait a minute. Wait. So you're saying to hear this song? So when I first heard this song, and I first assisted in promoting this song, I said, you know what? This song is hot. This song is the new quarantine therapy. Because if you're not in a relationship, you're going to want to get in one. You may think about maybe getting into one. Or if you're considering one, you may think about stepping up. Or if you're in a bad relationship and you hear this song, you may say, you know what, can we talk for a minute? Because I remember when I used to love you. Like that movie. I think I love my wife. So go ahead, Ted. Because you just blew my mind with that one. You may want to do it.
Well,
Thank you.
The whole thing to me is that I'm serious. The whole thing to me is that, when we were all coming up, we had that type of quality song. The men were singing to the women were singing to the men, and what happened, it gave each individual an idea of how to approach the relationship, how to stay in the relationship, how to rekindle the relationship. And when those types of songs aren't out, we lose that.
Right.
And I think that with something like that artist right there, and and just like you said with the other groups, with Kim and Usher, we had people used to make fun of Keith Sweat, but Keith Sweat was telling the brothers, hey, look, you got this beautiful woman right here. If I mess up, or whatever song he was singing, but we used to say he's begging, but TLC said I ain't too proud to beg either.
Sure enough.
So, it's all about womanhood and manhood, and you try to be tough in front of your boys, but when you get with your woman, you turn that song on. And the kids talk about keeping it 100, keeping it real. Throughout our life, throughout our culture of the Black culture and the Latino culture, that's music is the thing that binds us together. And and it can also be some things that tear us apart. But when you're thinking about the music that binds relationships, it binds families together. When my family gets together, we play a lot of old school music because it's about love and togetherness and relationship and family and friendship.
And you know what, Ted? Tomorrow, I'll be on at 9, and I'm going to play old school. And yes, I would like for you to pop on in there and be a guest and listen. And you're right. It's all about the old school. It's all about it.
It is. And there's nothing wrong with that.
And my thing is music back then, and I mean, wow. Music back then and music just like what we just heard makes you want to be like, damn, you know what I mean? Damn, makes you always want to say, you know what? I got something for you. Matter of fact, sis, I got something for you. I got you, sis. But I know you're going to feel this one right here. Ted, you're going to feel this one. Shauna, hit that screen.
I'm so sorry, baby. I'm gonna get down on my knees.
Baby, you have to be. Wait, pause it. Hey, wait, pause it. Wait, Will. Wait.
Can't handle that?
Okay. Rewa Pula. Hit that joint again. Hit it again.
Hit that screen. Hit that screen. Here we go.
I gotta do I have to hit it, but I gotta do my screen first. No!
I'm so sorry, baby. I'm gonna get down on my knees. I'm asking you to smile for me, baby. Tears, I see love from your eyes. Tell me why you cry. Guilt when you look at me. Girl, did I let you down? Girl, you see that I apologize. Tell me what you do. Tell me proud to you. Girl, it's not the same. I know I was to blame. So tell me when will I see you smile again? Oh, and I know that you're fed up. Sugar promises many times before, and I broke each one of them. I had to learn over and over and over again. Don't hurt the one you love. Girl, you see, I apologize. Tell me what you do. Tell me proud to you. It's not the same. I know I was to blame.
Wow.
Lie to you again. I can now you know we've been together for a long time, baby. And there's never been a problem we couldn't solve if we just talk it out. Come over here and sit right down, let me tell you how I feel, baby. Cause all I do is think of you. I'm begging you to smile for me,
That song said a lot, though.
it's one of those days when life's cut me down. Well, I'm beating you. Say the right thing. Everything is wonderful. Ooh. Take all my scars and my broken heart. Promise that you will cover me. Give me your all. Say it's not make believe. Love me, follow your heart where you love me. Things get too hard and I need you more. Make sure you're sure and you love me all the way. Show me that you take care of me. Will you show me that I'm your everything and I'll be yours? Make sure you're sure that you love me all the way. When I feel nothing, like I had nothing, I had nothing but love. Would you stay? We'd be the same. And everything's not beautiful. Hey, I'm not perfect, but I'm worth it. Love me all. I deserve it. I'll give everything to you. But you gotta make me believe that you love me. With all of your heart, will you love me? Things get too hard and I need you more. Make sure you're sure that you love me all the way. Oh, show me that you'll take care of me. Will you show me that I'm your everything and I'll be yours? Make sure you're sure that you love me all the way. I know I asked for too much, even only love, 'cause this is bigger than love. Love you from now till the end, until the time was all done. All that I'm asking you is love me. All of your heart, will you love me? When things get too hard and I need you more, make sure you're sure that you love me all the way. Show me that you'll take care of me. Will you show me that I'm your everything and I'll be yours? Make sure you're sure